music, suffocating weight of sound. Even the creak of the ship's timbers felt oppressive. A heaviness that seeped into my bones, mirroring the film's unrelenting grip. By the midpoint, the IMAX screen seemed to press down on me, as though an entire herd of elephants had settled on my chest. There were moments I begged for it to end, desperate for just 15 minutes to gasp for air, but Eggers denied me mercy. The onslaught continued. More weight, more melancholy, more despair, more rats. When the credits rolled after 2 hours, I sat paralyzed, drowning in the aftermath. Stepping into the cold night air, relief washed over me, not just because it was over, but because I could retreat to my bed, away from that grim world. Yet by morning, a perverse craving stirred. I wanted to return. NOSFERATU had infected me, much like its vampire infects his victims, their desire to let him dissect their life, their blood.
Come by the fire.
His aura of decay, the plague rot of his influence, why did we all lean into the blade? Even as I'd squirmed in my seat, pleading for escape, some part of me had already been seduced. The answer lies in what he embodies, in what the film unearths within us, and in the twisted truth that pain, when exquisitely crafted, becomes a siren song. To resist, we must first ask, why do we crave what haunts us? NOSFERATU is the shadow that stains the city, not metaphorically, but psychologically, a festering spectre of Ellen's own melancholy, the kind we now call depression.
Do you ever feel at times as if you were not a person?
Depression is not emptiness, it is the presence of a thing we refuse to name. Ellen fled from it, just as we avert our eyes from the rot festering in our marrow. Yet NOSFERATU sensed her dishonesty.
You are fortunate in your love.
He vowed to return in 3 days, certain she'd yield. And she did. Just as I, against all reason, yielded to the film's grim embrace once more. Why do we crave what devours us? Logic crumples here. We are not creatures of reason but paradox, drawn to the flame even as it blackens our bones. How then do we unmask this shadow?
Ritual.
Speak not of it again!
A shadow cannot be faced. It clings to your back, dissolving when you turn. By the time it slithers into view, it has already metastasized. You are its vessel now.
Come by the fire.
It ignores your frail denials. It knows you ache for its return. Because you love it. And so it circles eternal because you have already whispered, come back. Why do we surrender to the shadow? Freud named it the repetition compulsion. Ellen could not escape NOSFERATU. I could not escape the film. Trauma binds us to cycles, Ellen's abuse and my obsession, until the irrational becomes logical, even inevitable. We return to what wounds us because the psyche mistakes repetition for control, the seduction of the known. Ellen's shadow was not a metaphor. It was the weight of a past she could neither name nor escape.
He is my shame. He is my melancholy. He took me as his lover then, and now he has come back. He has discovered our marriage and has come back.
NOSFERATU became the embodiment of her unspoken pain, a darkness she refused to invite in, yet knew intimately. Her psyche, in its cruel irony, demanded she rehearse the trauma. Let it in, study it, master it. But mastery is a lie. When she finally opened the window, she did not confront the horror.
I am ready.
She let it consume her.
I bid you, come to me.
Her willing sacrifice thus broke the curse and freed them from the plague of NOSFERATU.
A martyrdom of despair, no release, only tension coiled like a noose. The film too choked me, each frame pressed down, a suffocating echo of its heaviness, like a depression itself. I craved relief, yet return to the theater. Why? Adrenaline. The alchemy of pain. Forget logic.
Come to me.
We are chemical creatures.
Come to me.
NOSFERATU floods the body. Pulse racing, breath shallow. Not despite the dread, but because of it. Adrenaline transforms terror into thrill. Ellen knew this alchemy very well. Trauma rewires us. Pain becomes familiar, then perversely comforting. We chase the rush of surviving what once destroyed us. By my third viewing, I didn't flinch. Numbness sets in. We ride roller coasters, climb mountains, replay heartbreaks, lift heavy weights, not for growth, but for the biochemical aftershock. Relief is the drug. Ellen welcomed the vampire not because she wanted death, but because the after, the stillness, felt like living. Endorphins are our natural painkillers. The repeated invitations, the final surrender, they will never feel the same as the first experience, but we chase the feeling anyway. Slowly, these actions press us against the wall, consume us, and ultimately destroy us, just as NOSFERATU consumed Ellen and ultimately destroyed her. We don't seek these things because they're destructive. We know them very well. We know what might happen as soon as we invite the devil. I didn't want to rewatch NOSFERATU because it was destructive. Ellen didn't invite the darkness because it was destructive. We do all these things because we have no alternative to the feeling they give while experiencing them. That's why the darkness disguises itself as salvation. And in doing so, it makes us forget that there are other things we could and should do instead, until we finally surrender and lose the last spark of life within us.